Psychedelic therapy is about to become a reality in the United States. When most people think of psychedelic therapy, they think acid, mushrooms, or MDMA, or something of the like. But recently, an executive order was passed to speed up psychedelic research specifying a drug called Ibogaine.
A new executive order aimed at encouraging more research into a drug targeting mental health. $50 million research investment into Ibogaine.
Ibogaine is very unique from other psychedelics in that it mimics almost every kind of hallucinogen, from classical psychedelics like shrooms to salvia and ketamine. It also seems to mimic deep sleep and might be able to treat Parkinson's, but we'll get more into that later. It's been known in the West since 1864 and has since shown incredible therapeutic potential. But before we talk more about that, we need to understand what it does and where it came from. The iboga plant, or Tabernanthe iboga, is a shrub native to tropical Central Africa. Its root bark is the primary source of ibogaine along with other related compounds. When taken at light doses, it acts as a stimulant or an aphrodisiac. In fact, the people of West Africa will chew on the bark while working to keep themselves alert. When taken at higher doses, that's when it becomes a psychedelic. Users reported it to be a dissociative and introspective trip with strong hallucinations, and recovering addicts have said that it reduces their cravings almost miraculously. This all makes perfect sense when considering its unusual pharmacology. This is just to give an idea of how complex it is. Ibogaine binds to the serotonin 2 receptors, making it similar to classical psychedelics. It blocks NMDA receptors, similar to ketamine, which explains its dissociative effects. It activates kappa opioid receptors, similar to salvia, which also contributes to its dissociative and hallucinogenic effects. It blocks nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which contributes to its anti-addictive property. It inhibits dopamine and serotonin transporters, similar to the antidepressant Wellbutrin. It also produces brainwaves that are similar in quality to the ones found in REM sleep. And if that wasn't enough for you, it also increases a protein called GDNF, which could help rebuild the brain pathways that are broken in Parkinson's disease. But with the pharmacology out of the way, we can move on to the more interesting part, where it originated. As I mentioned before, the iboga shrub is native to tropical Central Africa, more specifically in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Gabon. And ibogaine use dates back to before recorded history, but its first recorded use is in a religion associated with the Fang people of Gabon called Bwiti. Bwiti is a spiritual practice, often described as a cult, involving the use of the iboga root bark to expand the mind, strengthen the community and the family. The practice originated from a group of hunter-gatherers in Gabon called the Mitsogo Pygmies. It was said that the Mitsogo discovered ibogaine by watching animals consume it, and eventually spread it to the Fang people, but nobody knows exactly when this happened. Bwiti is also interesting to me in that one of their core principles is being open to change, and as such has assimilated certain aspects of various religions, including Catholicism. This is in line with its purpose for using ibogaine, which is to expand the mind spiritually. As Bwiti is an oral tradition that is not recorded, nobody knows its exact timeline. However, what we do know is when ibogaine reached the Western world. In 1864, a French explorer named Charles Aubry Lecomte wrote a short essay about the poisonous plants of West Africa, containing a detailed description of iboga and its use as a stimulant. This was the first time the Western world had ever seen iboga. In 1901, ibogaine was extracted from iboga for the first time. French researchers started pushing for ibogaine to be used as a stimulant in 1905, but it wasn't until 1939 that it became available under the name Lambaran. In 1955, American researcher Harris Isbell, the same one from MK Ultra, first suggested that ibogaine has anti-addictive properties. This was reinforced when a man named Howard Lotzeff took it, and it reduced his heroin cravings and withdrawals. but its use halted to a stop in the late 60s and early 70s as it was suddenly dismissed as dangerous and addictive worldwide.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
This is likely in part because it was associated with counterculture, and we can't have people speaking out against the government. Still, the research did continue into the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. These studies demonstrated that 10 to 12 milligrams per kilogram of body weight reduced withdrawals and cravings significantly. Some of these studies also revealed that Ibogaine is cardiotoxic and causes death at high doses, and a 2012 study estimated that 1 in 300 Ibogaine users die. But psychedelics are becoming more acceptable nowadays. More and more rich people are telling you that you should microdose on some bullshit to increase your productivity. So where does this leave us now? On April 18th of this year, Executive Order 14401 was passed telling the Department of Human Health Services to speed up research on psychedelic treatments for mental illness, specifying Ibogaine. The FDA has been running clinical trials for psilocybin, MDMA, and Ibogaine, among others, but Ibogaine is the one that's really hit the spotlight recently as a treatment for opioid abuse. Some companies have been hesitant to pick up psychedelic drugs, which makes sense when you consider that psychedelics wouldn't bring in as consistent profit as SSRIs.
Texas is launching its own clinical trials into a psychedelic drug called Ibogaine, but state officials could not find a company to partner with and help develop it into a drug that can get FDA approval.
A very unfortunate reality. The problem is that it's not very clear whether this research is being accelerated or rushed. Rushed clinical trials have historically gone very badly, for example, thalidomide. Combine this with Ibogaine's cardiac problems and it could potentially go very wrong. Scientists are looking into synthetic alternatives like MC18 and Tabernanthe and have found that combining Ibogaine with magnesium seems to improve the heart problems, which is great news. As Ibogaine remains illegal in the US, people continue turning to buy Ibogaine illegally, or they go to other countries like Mexico to seek Ibogaine treatment. We can only hope that there will soon be an effective treatment for addiction in the United States. That's all I have for right now. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe. I am currently working on a script about the history of tobacco, and I've already learned some real neat stuff about it, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. Later!